Hey there, son of a bitch. Hey there, son of a bitch. Bitch, 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 son of a bitch. One.
We're in first place in the frickin' Idiot League.
Two idiots talk sports. Sports talk. Funny and uncensored.
Good evening. I am Del Fuego, and with me is Blair Smith. We are in Kansas City, Missouri, not Kansas City, Kansas. There is a distinction.
Also, not so good evening.
Yes, and this is the Two Idiots Talk Sports. We are coming to you, like I said, we are coming to you from Kansas City. We are at the Quality Inn and Suites.
Very much quality.
Quality. The shower head looked a little gross, I'm not going to lie.
I have not looked at the shower head
Why
yet.
am I looking at the shower head? Like, I'm just simply going to the restroom, and I'm looking around, and why am I noticing the shower head?
First thing I looked
What's
at
wrong
was the
with me?
towels. The towels all looked clean.
The towels look good. I'm not going to lie. I checked out the towels as well.
Towels.
Shower head, it's going to be fine.
Are we talking like dirty as in like there's little hairs all over it, or it's just like calcification deposits of hard
Yeah,
water
it
stains?
just looks like it
Stuff like
needs
that.
a little, a
needs a
little
little CLR.
tender loving care or something.
CLR.
Yeah.
Forget TLC. We'd rather have CLR.
There you go. Well, we're coming to you at September 22nd, 2018, and we're in Kansas City. Why? We've told you before. We're here for the Kansas City Chiefs facing off with the San Francisco 49ers tomorrow at noon Central Time. And, of course, we'll have some video, probably even some audio, whatever. We're going to be cooking, doing a lot of different things. And
Wouldn't this be the audio here?
this would probably be the audio
would probably
here.
be the audio.
You know, we're guys. I'm not good at
Right.
multitasking. So I figure, hey, video, audio, whatever. So, but here we are.
I'm barely managing to chew gum and do this at the same time. So
We've got a lot in store for you. We've got some disappointing, really on both levels. We've got some disappointing college football. We've got NFL coming up, which has been exciting. We had the exciting Thursday night game that we get to talk about.
Baker Mayfield.
So, and just all sorts of other headlines in between. So, without further ado, let's get after it. So,
do
college football today. Oh man.
I didn't see any college football today.
Did you
Mr.
not?
Fuego. No.
No?
We watched a game in Stillwater that turned into a shit show, and that's all I want to say about that.
We're watching from this place. I won't even name the place because I've already forgotten it. But the place was not great. But we're watching the game, and we're watching Oklahoma State do their thing. And yet it just seems like over time, Texas Tech kind of begins to take over. They get more confident on the road.
Completely dismantled.
Oklahoma State makes some mistakes. I still feel like they had an opportunity there before half. They could have been a little more aggressive on that drive, try to tie the game up, especially with Tech getting the ball to start the second half.
Exactly.
And that didn't happen. So Tech is able to go up by 2 touchdowns, and it almost seemed as if Oklahoma State just wasn't, I don't know.
Well, the question is we are 4 games into this. Cornelius has shown us some flashes of being a decent quarterback, but those flashes show me that he is nothing more than a backup. He's a guy that if he comes in, you don't hate it, but you're not happy about your starter going down. And right now, we do not have a starter at Oklahoma State, unless he's sitting on the bench and Mike Gundy is just too bullheaded to put him in. So,
know.
you've got the guy from Hawaii, I believe it's Drew Brown, and then you've got Spencer Sanders, the super red hot 5-star recruit out of Texas. The freshman. But right now they've lifted the rules on redshirting. Get one of these guys in there, and just see what they can do.
Absolutely.
Why is Mike Gundy not putting one of these guys in these blowout wins in the preseason? Well, I say preseason. In your first 3 games that are non-conference.
Sure.
throw him in there. Let's see what one of these guys can deliver.
Yeah.
I mean, you're hinging your season on a guy who literally has played like a backup his entire career and has been a backup. So, and now your season is done.
He had
Essentially.
I don't know that I would go that far. And Taylor Cornelius has looked good at times. That was the big thing last week against Boise State. That was a ranked team, good offense. Cornelius is able to mix in some flashes of throwing the ball, still in the short route, but he's also able to run the ball pretty well, right? Which was an added dimension to the offense, which gives some hope. But it just seemed like tonight, man, the knock against him has been the deep ball. And he had some moments where he had receivers. I forget the name of the one
Wallace.
guy. The one guy was just catching everything thrown at him.
And they were terrible balls. They
were not great passes.
They're not
but
great
the guy was
passes.
fighting
They were
for
jump
him.
balls, and he's getting both of them.
Oh, he's
But
making incredible catches.
But here's the deal. When I say the season's over with, if Gundy sticks with this guy and he's not the best guy on the team and the guy that's going to lead them, then he will lose the team. I mean, look what we just watched happen Thursday Night Football, Cleveland Browns, and I know we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Sure.
But look what happened to that team. It electrified that team
Yeah.
when Baker Mayfield jumped on the field.
Oh, absolutely.
It was
yeah.
it was not a different quarterback. It was a different team.
Yeah.
And that's what will happen. I mean, they know that Hugh Jackson is not playing the best man for the job, so the team is not going to give it their all. Well, they see the guy who should be starting come out there. Well, guess what? You've got a whole nother ball club on your hands. That's going to happen in Stillwater if Cornelius is not the guy.
Well, you do have to wonder though, are one of the, like you asked, and I don't know the answer to the question, is one of the other guys the guy and they're just holding back? Are they being stubborn? Or is this right now the best of what they have? And I'll tell you what was really surprising about tonight's game, the focus always goes to the quarterback because we know it's the most important position on the field. But to me, it just seemed like the weirdest thing to me tonight was Oklahoma State's defense, because the way they looked against Boise State, they were getting after the quarterback. I mean, they were looking aggressive. They looked really good. And then again, tonight against Texas Tech, they were being picked apart. They weren't. And I know Texas Tech gets rid of the ball quicker and things like that, but it just seems like you can make adjustments. Their defense, to me, was the most surprising out of tonight.
Yeah, and the concern there is, you fire Glenn Spencer at the end of last season. Defensive coordinator, I think he was the last 4 years.
Yeah, that's about right.
Right. So you bring in a guy from Duke. Okay, there's a little bit of a question mark there. Duke has had some defensive success,
yeah.
But he's not playing. I mean, he's playing this 4-2 defense. He's not been playing against Big 12 offenses.
No, the ACC is different.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we go 3 non-conference opponents have 3 good, pretty impressive defensive showings against traditional style offenses. Now we get into the Big 12. Is he in over his head?
Yeah, never know, and that's unfortunate. You just don't know until a guy comes in and responds positively or negatively.
He's going to have to make some adjustments throughout the season, obviously. Now, here was the deal. This was your last roadblock before OU.
Yeah.
The rest of your games are kind of, I say it was. Texas actually looked pretty decent against TCU today.
They look serviceable. You can't just blow that game off.
You can no longer discount Texas as we thought we could.
Sure. But like Texas Tech, Oklahoma State has had a lot of success against Texas here in the recent years.
Oh, absolutely.
But again, you can't fall back on that after tonight.
No, certainly not. Because I actually came away last week more impressed with TCU than I was down on them after the Ohio State game.
Oh yeah, they came away with the game thinking, well, they lost, but they played well.
Right there, and there was about a 4 to 5 minute series of events in that game in the third quarter where Ohio State, I think they scored 19 points in about 4 minutes, and it was off of stupid mistakes.
Sure. But then TCU
on the part
gets
of
beat
TCU.
Up. Yeah, TCU gets beat up 31-16 today.
And they come out and just
it's
lay
on the road,
complete egg. It shouldn't matter. Not to this Longhorns team.
Not like that. Not like that anyway. you go in feeling like TCU's a better team overall, but I mean 31-16. That's a
So yeah.
that's the I don't know. That surprised me.
So, but basically, all I can say after this is OSU. We have a quarterback question mark, and we have a massive defensive question mark. And until we get further into the season, these are going to be questions that remain unanswered.
Well, and in some fairness, and this is, of course, from the outside looking in, because, I mean, I pay attention to Oklahoma State, but I'm not my heart's not fully into Oklahoma State like you are.
Oh, yeah.
But, I look at it as, they lose Mason Rudolph. They lose some NFL talent. There's times where you come back from that and it's like, well, it takes a little bit of time. So I don't know where exact Oklahoma State's at. It's just, you get kind of excited after that Boise State win and the way that they won.
Right.
And then you have this happen and it's like, well, you almost have to wonder, where are we? Like, who are we really?
Right. Well, the concerning thing here is, Mike Gundy has been able to they've kind of been a quarterback factory.
Absolutely.
Now they're not, punching out NFL talent, but they are punching out some of the top tier quarterbacks of the Big 12 over the last during his coaching tenure.
Yeah.
Arguably the least recruited would have been Clint Chelf, and look what he did.
Yeah.
This guy came off the bench. He sat behind Brandon Whedon, and then J.W. Walsh was considered the next guy in line, and Gundy, midway through the season, finally pulled the chain on that at West Virginia and put Chelf in, and they end up basically competing for the Big 12, if not for the Blake Bell amazing.
Oh yeah.
The only time Blake Bell has ever been a passing quarterback in his entire life.
He decided to do it that day.
Leads the 2-minute drive in Stillwater to win the Big 12. That I think that was it was stupid on their part, but they called it a co-championship in that year. But OSU wins the Big 12 outright if they win that game. And that was Clint Chelf. This guy wasn't even recruited, yet they made him into a Big 12 style quarterback.
Sure.
Taylor Cornelius has been there 4 years, sitting behind NFL talent. Is he learning? That's the question mark.
And that's a fair question mark. So Oklahoma State out there, if you're listening, you're probably not, but Blair Smith, he's pissed at you. He's not coming right out and saying it, but he's pissed.
Yeah.
And he demands some answers. Your defense needs to step up, and if your quarterback isn't going to play right, get another guy in there. Let's see how he does.
Next man up.
Because he didn't say it, but I'm going to say it for him. They didn't score a damn point in that second half. And that's on the offense. I know the big question mark was the defense, like I said, but that offense didn't score a damn point in that second half.
2 quarters of shutout
that is
football.
Inexcusable.
Unacceptable.
Inexcusable against the Texas Tech defense. Come on, Texas Tech is
never
not known for their defense.
They've got one player on their defense. Now, they're improved over last year, and that's what they were touted.
Did they give up, or did they just, it's just like, so it's just inexcusable. Whatever the excuse is,
there's no excuse. There's no excuse.
Blair Smith's pissed.
Next man up. Get it right.
He wants answers. Get the right guy in there. Let's figure it out. This is Oklahoma State. Not Oklahoma State of old, by the way. This is now Oklahoma State with expectations.
Exactly.
And I'm sorry, but I think I feel like they've gotten to that level and to that point where it's like, you know what? We can actually demand that now.
We should.
We've got several 10-win seasons.
We should. We have. This is the best era of Oklahoma State football ever.
Thank you.
We have beat top 10 teams in their stadium.
Yeah.
We are not a team that should lose at home, especially not one that should lose at home like this.
There you go.
Should not happen.
And that's where we're at now. And you know what? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And that's when programs grow, is when they have that kind of expectation.
Exactly.
Even if it seems ridiculous, even if it seems like out there, like, oh, you should be, you guys are, no. You have that expectation. That's where the program's at now. Deal with it.
Yep.
So, got to fix it.
Solid program should not look like that.
Other game tonight.
Especially that was a nationally televised audience.
Yes, it was.
Oh, it was awful.
Yes, it was.
Now, the game that was not nationally televised.
It was on pay-per-view. It's on pay-per-view for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. Going into the game, the University of Oklahoma favored 30 points over Army. And I'm beside myself. We're at this bar. Of course, the bar can't play it. They don't have the pay-per-view. And I'm not even concerned about the game at all. To the point, I don't even care if I watch it. In the fourth quarter, all of a sudden, I've become very concerned.
I think you were concerned in the second half. I think it became apparent in the second half that we were both concerned.
Army
that this
ties it
could
up.
Get ugly, right?
Yeah, Army ties it up 14-14, and at that point, I thought, well, okay, OU. This is one of those games you just get that feeling. Oklahoma did not go into it. You can't play every game like it's just up. Like, man, we're gonna go with full energy. I get that, and I know that this was a game mentally where they're probably taking off and going, it's Army.
And
Come on.
well, it's so tough from our standpoint. I mean, we saw nothing of this game other than the highlights they showed in intercut between commercial breaks in the sports bar that we were watching. 75 TVs, none of them pay-per-view.
None of them.
So it's extremely hard to say, is OU this, what happened? Now, we watched OU go out and, they won the game against Iowa State. Defensively, from what we saw against, what we saw Iowa State do before OU defensively laid an egg against Iowa State to let them score that many points.
Yep.
And so
that's fair.
We don't know what this team is.
We don't fully know what they are going into real Big 12 play. I mean, I know they've already played Iowa State, but if they start playing teams like a Texas Tech or Texas TCU, OSU,
or even an Army, when you
at.
play a team with pride,
they're coming to win. They're not coming there just to show up.
Yes, they're not there so that their university gets a paycheck.
Yeah,
they are playing for the name on the side of the helmet, not the name on the back of the jersey.
Yeah.
And that's what gets you in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, they were able to beat up on a Florida Atlantic team. I mean, it's Florida Atlantic. They were able to beat up on a UCLA team that had already lost a quarterback to the pros, had new talent, new coach. So, of course, that was pretty easy in Norman and, things like that. And then, they kind of get away with the win with Iowa State. And now the overtime victory in Army, the game is tied at 21.
And this is in Norman. This is
Austin Seibert misses the field goal, 33-yard field goal to just put this game away.
What is going on with special teams in general?
Man, field goal kicking in general, pro or college lately, just seems to have gone out the window. I don't know.
This seems to be weird. I've seen more missed field goals and even extra points. We saw the Steelers kicker miss an extra point last weekend. We saw
those guys are paid.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is the weird. I think over the first 3-4 weeks of the season, I've never seen this many missed kicks and PATs.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yep. Oklahoma, they're able to take it into overtime after the really awful missed kick by Seibert. They're able to score a touchdown, put up 28-21. Army is not able to return the favor, and Oklahoma, lives to fight another day and escapes with a victory. Thankfully, still undefeated, but I'm sure on some of the other stations where the OU fans are calling in, I'm sure that they are just like out of their minds right now. It'd be interesting just to kind of hear some of that out, but I try to look at it from a sane OU fan perspective. I personally didn't have them when we did our predictions. I did not put them in the Final Four. Although I did put Michigan in, and that looks kind of dumb right now. But although they still could get there, actually.
Right. I mean,
they actually still
if they go and win the Big
if
they win the Big Ten, they're probably in.
Yeah, but with Oklahoma, I just didn't know what to expect, and that's why I was like, well, I can't put them in the Final Four if I don't know what to expect.
Right.
And I still feel like even after 4 games, I don't know what to expect. So I feel like I'm in the same spot. They have talent. I mean, they've got people, but for some reason, sometimes it doesn't come together, and you make some mistakes, and
that is correct.
You look up, and now you got a couple of losses.
Yeah, but it boils down to you're still undefeated, and right now, you've got. Can we get an undefeated champion in the Pac-12? Is there anybody still undefeated there?
Well, it's not looking good. Last I checked, Stanford, who was looking pretty good, is actually losing to Oregon. I think Oregon may be undefeated. Washington already has a loss. They lost to Auburn. SC's terrible. USC's terrible. Utah's got a loss. The Pac-12 is already starting to drop like flies. So you're right about that.
So I mean,
Pac-12 may not be that impressive.
So I mean, that's what I'm saying. If we get one conference to where there's a loss, then
Well, they're talking about potentially the two SEC, of course.
But it won't matter if there's an undefeated if there's an undefeated conference champion in a Power 5 conference, you cannot hold them out.
No, you're right. That's right.
You can't. I mean, we watched Florida State the year after they won the national championship. They went undefeated. Mm-hmm. But everybody knew they weren't. I mean, they weren't any good.
Yeah.
We watched them nearly lose to an Oklahoma State club in the first game of the season. If not for a J.W. Walsh fumble, they probably would have lost in the opening day. And what happens to them what happened to them in the playoff? They're undefeated. They go into the college football, only undefeated team, I believe, that year, go into the college football playoff, and they lose their first game by 30 points.
Yeah, they weren't the real deal.
Not at all.
Fool's gold on that one, but
they were awful.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how they progress through the season. A lot of times you learn, you grow. Hopefully, that's part of it. So we'll see what happens. But
point is, you're not going to get an undefeated Power 5 champion left out. It won't happen.
Yeah, the silver lining is you come out undefeated, go from there.
And
we'll see what happens.
That's all that matters right now is a W.
Exactly, and that's what they've got. So there you go. Big, huge, weird upset of the day as Old Dominion defeats Virginia Tech. Old Dominion goes into the game 0-3. Now, I don't know what their non-conference schedule looks like. I don't know who they lost to become 0-3 because I don't research Old Dominion.
Nobody does.
But they...
Certainly not Virginia Tech.
But they pull off the upset not only of the day, but I mean, it's got to be one of the greatest, I know in ACC history as far as what they were favored against or underdog against. I know Tech was favored by 29 points in this game, and Old Dominion comes out, beats them by a couple of touchdowns in the fourth, and you're like, what? Like, out of your mind. Like, is this another game where mentally they're just, like, checked out? Like, we're playing Old Dominion, man. Like, we're not, what the hell? We're not coming to play this team. And Old Dominion actually shows up to play football today. So, man, absolutely amazing. Kudos to Old Dominion. I don't even know. Do you know the mascot of Old Dominion? I got no help from Google right now. I've got nothing. I don't know the mascot of Old Dominion, but kudos to Old Dominion, man. They're the winner of the day as far as the upset special.
Absolutely.
My goodness.
It might be the upset of the year. It's.
Oh yeah.
I mean, where do you put this in the Appalachian State versus Michigan category?
It's right on that level. I mean,
they were a 40-point underdog, I believe, at that time, or something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that.
It was, it was an insane number.
Yeah.
But still, that's big time.
See, Oregon is up on Stanford right now, 31-28. So that game is going
3 minutes
going pretty strong. So that's a great game right now. That's going on. So that's probably. Right now, I mean, looks like that's two of your three best teams in the Pac-12 right now. Right. Well, I still give Washington some respect because.
Oh yeah, they lost to Auburn. Auburn lost to LSU. Neither one of those are losses that you're going to complete. They certainly weren't losing to Texas Tech, but yeah, at home.
Although I say that, and right now Washington, it's first quarter, they're losing to Arizona State 10-7. That's Mr. Herm Edwards' team out there in Arizona. Yeah, 10-7. They're tough.
Losing to San Diego State last week.
I know.
After starting the way they did, there's a team you can't figure out. I mean, now Herm Edwards, that man is a.
I watched them play. They're pretty basic. They overwork that tailback. That poor guy.
But that's what Herm Edwards does. He's very old school.
Their offense is very boring.
It is.
They play a little defense.
But he will light a fire under you.
He will. He's a great guy. I like Herm Edwards a lot.
I love him.
Yep.
I didn't like him when he was my Chiefs head coach. We weren't winning.
It doesn't always work out. It's funny.
That's the thing. You love your head coach when you're winning.
It's not always a fit. It really isn't. I mean, it just doesn't always work out that way.
Right. How many of us hated Marty Schottenheimer there at the end when we couldn't pull it off. But by golly, we would have loved to have had him back when he was the Chargers head coach.
Hey, yeah, absolutely. Oh man, Alabama rolls. They win by 22 over Texas A&M.
Can anyone beat Alabama?
Man, that's a great question. That's a great question right now with the way they're playing, both sides of the ball. I don't know, and I hate it. I'd rather see anybody just about now win.
I
the
would
thing
too, but
other than them.
But there's even years where you're like, Alabama might have a challenge in the SEC right now. They don't even look like there's a team. It looks like you could stack up 3 teams in this country, and they're all together. Put 3 against 1, and Alabama's still going to win. They are so dominant right now.
Oh my goodness. All right, with that's our college breakdown of today. Not a whole lot going on, but just our local stuff here for Oklahoma State. We had some Big 12 stuff going on. Of course, Texas defeats TCU in Austin. Keeps them relevant. Maybe they're a little better than I thought they were. I thought they were junk after losing to the player killer in Maryland. But, there they are. They lost to that team. I didn't think they were the real deal. They beat a USC team that's just not that good. They're not the real deal either. So I didn't really know who Texas was, but they defeat a good TCU
We still
team.
don't know, really.
Yeah. That's true.
West Virginia picked up a solid win.
West Virginia did pick up a solid win against Kansas State. Like they beat the snot out of them. Actually, it was like 35-6. So, poor Kansas State. Kansas teams today. Here we are up in Kansas City, Missouri, and we're not seeing any.
No love for the Jayhawks.
We're seeing some Chiefs jerseys, but I'm not seeing much Kansas State, Kansas, or Missouri gear today. All 3 schools getting beat down today. Not even close. So. So I mentioned the Chiefs. We're going to be at the game tomorrow. It's at noon.
Go Chiefs.
Central.
We will be there early morning tailgating.
That's right. Chiefs favored by 6.5 over the 49ers. That's a weird. To me, that just seems like a weird total to me. I feel
really
like
does.
the Chiefs could win by definitely more than it seems. It seems like the Chiefs could win by more than that.
To me, this Chiefs team should beat them. It's their home opener. This
it's going to be so loud.
Should beat them by 20 points. However, their defense,
bare minimum 2 touchdowns.
Exactly. But we don't know about the Chiefs' defense. They play 2 teams on the road that are good offensively.
Sure, they got talent. Yeah.
So, you lose, or, you give up a ton of yards and a few points to the Chargers, ton of yards, a few points to the Steelers. So, in their home stadiums, it's kind of tough to gauge this Chiefs defense at this time. We're going to learn more tomorrow.
I just feel like the 49ers are overrated. Ever since, Garoppolo went there and they won 5 games last year when he got there.
Right.
But it just, it's a weird time of the season for him to do it. And you look at, for the 49ers offensively, who's Jimmy G going to get the ball to? Seriously, name me somebody he's going to get the ball to on that offense. The offensive line's not great. They don't have a great run game. The guy that they signed from Minnesota is out for the season.
Yep.
Offensively,
they're hamstrung offensively.
They have no
truly
weapons. And defensively, they're not great either.
They weren't great last year.
For people to ride the bandwagon and immediately pick the 49ers to this is the dark horse playoff team, maybe they're really not. I don't know who the 49ers are. I don't think they're that good. They're better with a good quarterback, but they're not great at all.
They're better than the Cardinals. I'll give them that.
Cardinals. Boy, talk about struggling right now, especially at the offensive line. The Cardinals, man, they can't block anybody.
No.
Who the Cardinals facing this week?
The Bears.
The Bears defense. That'll be an interesting little matchup right there.
That game could end 4-0 just because
Khalil Mack might beat our Cardinals offense by himself. That guy, I was looking at these statistics. It was just overall forced fumbles, interceptions, all this. Khalil Mack has more defensive statistics than the entire Oakland Raiders defense, which is, of course, where he got traded from. I think that's hysterical.
It's highly entertaining.
Like, why you just traded away like a potential. He's going to be a future Hall of Famer unless something crazy happens, right?
Yes.
Who does that? That'd be like the Giants back in their heyday, trading away Lawrence Taylor. Like, well, he's all right. He's not that great of a defensive player, and maybe we can get a couple of guys for him. What?
And
Are you
interestingly
kidding me?
enough, I think at some point this year, the Raiders and Bears will have to play.
Do they meet up sometime this season?
I know, as a Chief fan, I know that we're playing the Vikings and the Packers this year.
Oh, so they probably do
So
their rounds
as far,
of the North.
As far as the rounds,
That's how they do it. Yeah,
we'll be
they'll
playing the
take on
NFC North, so they'll have to play this year.
Good. That means you get the
Theoretically, at some
Lions
point.
too. Lions suck.
Well, at least there's one victory.
Whoo, man, the poor Lions.
It's surprising. The Raiders were my pick in this division this year, and
Yeah,
they're
they've got no defense now.
struggling.
They didn't have much of a defense with Khalil Mack. Now you got rid of him. Like, what do you have defensively? And then even on offense, they're trying to figure it out. It's weird. They had a great first half last week against Denver. And then it's like they just couldn't figure it out. They let Denver creep back up and sneak a victory. Denver's a 2-0 team right now, and they're probably the ugliest looking 2-0 team in the entire league. For real.
Speaking of the
they
Denver
barely,
victory,
they had two
speaking
fourth
of,
quarter comebacks.
what do you think of the guy who cheated the system and bet $110 to get $82,000?
Yeah, that was a deal with FanDuel. And at first, FanDuel was not going to pay it.
Right. They came out yesterday, said they're going to pay the man.
They're finally going to. And you know why? Because you know what the perception would have been.
Oh, yes.
Well, how much business are you going to lose if you look like you're not going to pay out, and people just think that about you? They're like, well, why bother even going with them? And then they lose all that business.
Exactly.
They had to pay that out. They had to just eat
and
it.
And again, they look like the good guys here.
In the end, finally,
they're going to say, yeah, you know what, we're going to pay you because
they showed their true colors initially.
They did show their true colors initially.
Yeah.
But now they're trying to make themselves look like the good guy. And
you got to do it.
You got to
bite that bullet, because if you don't, 82,000. I don't even pretend to know how much money goes through all that system, but it's more than 82,000.
Oh, it is certainly more.
You put doubt out there that you're not going to pay out if people do win. No. They had to pay that 82,000
Yes, they did.
just to stay relevant. Oh man.
But wouldn't you like to drop that $110?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
How many people now? Here's the interesting thing: is how many people will be watching those instant lines on FanDuel and dropping money on them to try.
Oh yeah, who knows?
FanDuel will probably make, they'll probably make that money tenfold this weekend alone.
That's what happens when you do the right thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what happens when you do the right thing like that.
Absolutely.
That's good. I'm glad you brought up the FanDuel thing. I didn't know if I was going to bring that up or not, but yeah. No,
Nice.
That was a good deal. It was a weird situation. It was going, it's this glitch. Well, no matter what, perception is what it is. And
Glitch happens.
Glitch happens. Oh my goodness. You're lucky it was only $82,000 glitch, by
Exactly.
the way. Sometimes those glitches
should
can
be
be a
their new
little bigger
slogan.
than that.
FanDuel, glitch happens.
Glitch happens. See, they'd get all their money back just from the merchandise.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Man, what games we got tomorrow going on? We've got freaking the Sunday night game is just an absolute crap game. We've got the Patriots playing the Lions. Like, who scheduled that crap? Like, really? Did we think the Lions were going to...
Well, until we can get into... I forget how far we have to go into the season before they can do the flex scheduling.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah. Sunday night game.
Sunday and Thursday night games are just...
You
don't know what you're going to get to.
But the loser on that one.
Right. But
Patriots,
this Thursday night
Lions.
game was... I would have loved to have seen what the ratings were this last Thursday night.
I'm glad you... Yeah, let's get into that. That's actually even more interesting. The Thursday night game is just absolutely amazing. And then the following Thursday night games, before I get into that, because the Thursday night games before were on NFL Network, which is partial with CBS.
Right.
Now the rest of them will be with Fox. And so, like, the Thursday night games now are big time. Like you've got Vikings and Rams for this first one coming up this next Thursday. That's a big time matchup.
It is a big time matchup.
Some NFC beasts going at it on a Thursday night. I mean, that's a big time lineup. But this past one ended up being a big one. I think even bigger and better than what they expected going into the night. You had the Cleveland Browns, of course, playing the New York Jets. If you're listening to it by this point, you have to have known what has happened by this point, or you're just living in a damn cave, like your head is stuck in the ground. But what the hell? I'll recap. I'll tell you what, I'll recap it from the perspective of where I watched this damn game. Okay, so Drunk Tim and I, who's unfortunately not with us now, Drunk Tim and I are watching this game from a bar. And we're doing karaoke. We're there with some people who have been lit up for a while. And we're watching this game. And it's absolutely amazing. The Browns cannot score. The Browns can't move offensively at all. Tyrod Taylor, at one point, I think was negative passing yards. How pathetic is that? And so we're watching the game. We've got this cast of characters at the bar. We're trying to watch the game. We're trying to listen to these people that are just like, hey man, I drive a truck. And I mean, we've got a guy who's trying to pick a fight, which was pretty funny. And, of course, he is drawn into Drunk Tim, which is great. Just great little drama there. Pull out the popcorn. Of course, we're like, hey, we're here to have fun, whatever. And we're watching the game. And, of course, Tyrod gets the big hit. He gets the concussion, has to go through concussion protocol. And he goes to the weird little tent thing that they have, and then we watch him walking off to the locker room, and I remember hitting him going, hey, and it's weird, I feel a little guilty. It's not that I'm excited that Tyrod got hurt. It's just, there's
At least not yet.
Right, there's the excitement of, oh my gosh, Baker Mayfield's about to come out to play right now. But, I mean, I never want it to be at the expense of someone else, but that's just how it happened. And so he comes out and...
We're not sociopaths.
No, yeah, not yet. And so he comes out and you just feel the energy. The crowd, of course, the crowd's already booed at this point because of just the absolutely horrible offense that's been going on for the Browns. Browns going to the game 3-point favorite, and they're down 14-0 and just looking awful. And, Baker gets into the game. You see the energy level pick up, even to the point where Baker fumbles the damn ball. The lineman, typically a lineman's like, fumble. He just falls on it. Let's live to fight another play, right? Not this guy. He's like, nah, it's almost like I've got Baker's back, man. I'm picking this ball up and I'm running it like a fullback. The guy almost goes 10 yards. He almost gets the first down off the fumble. And the fans are going crazy. I mean, you see the receivers are now there's just a different energy just from watching it with your eyes. You're just like, man, there's just something different going on now. They only get the field goal.
But it was electric.
It was. You just feel the difference. And you go into the second half. They score another field goal. And by the way, I've got a comment. Remember, Cleveland's kicker is the main reason why they lost/tied their first two games. Honestly, they could have gone into that Thursday night matchup 2-0. This guy that kicks Thursday night is a new guy. He's a rookie. But those were some of the ugliest kicks I've ever seen in my life. The guy, I don't know.
Now, I don't know if it was ugly or impressive. If you see behind the kicker, the camera from behind the kicker, this ball is 3 feet wide right.
Yes, it curves.
And curves back in.
He kicked a screwball, is what he did.
Kicked a screwball.
And not only that, did you see the perspective? You got the Jets guy's hand coming up like he potentially could block the kick, except the fact is the guy did kick a screwball, which happened to go around the guy's hand and then back into where the goalposts were.
That ball was the... Are you an Avengers fan? Have you seen the movie, the one where Spider-Man says that shield does not obey the laws of physics?
That ball
did not obey the laws of physics.
No, it did not. I agree. That was some of the two ugliest kicks.
But it was fantastic to watch. It's fascinating.
He
is what
made
it was.
At the
He
end
made
of the
them.
day, he made them.
That's all it takes to keep a job is to put the ball through the uprights.
And it got them within one score, which was perfect, but with two absolutely ugly kicks. And, of course, you could almost feel the energy. You could feel what's coming. They eventually are able to move the ball down the field. Now they're running the ball okay in the first half. That was all they could do. But now they're running the ball. They can throw the ball. They can do whatever they want now. They're moving the ball. Carlos Hyde scoring a touchdown, who's got like a newborn that's being birthed at the same night or whatever's going on. And then the wacky, the amazing 2-point conversion. Well, it starts with the failed 2-point conversion.
Oh, wow. How fortunate there.
Right. And then it's almost like they're like, okay, that didn't work. Let's just draw this up in the sand. I did this at OU, so let's just try that. And so they did. They give the ball to Jarvis Landry. He comes over. He throws left-handed, and which is weird to me. He throws it left-handed, and Baker's wide open. He catches it, and boom, tie ball game. And you know the momentum as a fan, or just somebody watching the game. You know where the momentum's going.
It's completely shifted at this point.
Even with the Jets now able to kind of respond, kick the field goal, and go up 17-14, you still have the feeling in the air of this game. You almost feel
it's
like
out of hand.
This is in storybook mode now. We know what's going to happen here, and they do. They to the credit of Baker, the team, and all that, they go down, they score, and then they win the thing 21-17, and Baker's the hero and all that stuff. Absolutely amazing.
Absolutely.
Did you hear Hugh Jackson in the postgame? Some of his coach
I'll have to watch the film.
Yeah.
That quote?
Yes. I mean,
Hugh.
I get that you have to do some of the coach speak and that you've got players and there are things that you got to work with here. But is it not obvious to the world at this point when Baker comes in and does that, oh, I wonder who the starting quarterback is now?
Right.
I think it's obvious to the world. It was like the Alabama thing. Oh, we've got this quarterback controversy. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
You have a guy that came in and won you the national championship where the other guy couldn't.
Exactly.
We know who the starting quarterback is in the beginning of the season, and guess what?
It's not rocket science.
He's the starting quarterback of the season. It's not, yeah, exactly. Like, it doesn't take, watching football for how many years. You just go, obviously
I
that
guess
guy's
he's our guy.
That's the guy. But for some reason, in this world, we've got to, we've got to talk it out.
These guys are $1 million athletes. They know when their job is on the line and when it's not. Don't kid
yourself.
Don't treat them with kid gloves.
Don't kid yourself.
Tyrod Taylor
if you think Tyrod Taylor's in the locker room going through concussion protocol, watching this going on, not thinking, I just lost my starting job, you're fooling yourself.
Exactly.
And he's fooling himself if he's really not thinking that. I mean, it was just a dumb moment. And, from this point on, it's Baker's job now. For better or for worse, they get the Raiders next. So it's not like he's going up against a great defense. We just talked about that.
They have a fairly porous defense.
And he's got plenty of time to game plan for them.
That's right. You've got an extra 2 days to game plan. So
exactly.
All of the chips right now have fallen. They are falling all towards Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
And the Cleveland Browns.
And some people say, well, the Jets aren't that great, but their defense actually is pretty good. The Jets are a decent team. You can't completely dog out the Jets, and you do have to get. And they say, well,
no, you can't completely. But again,
you can't. And people say, well, they weren't able to game plan for Baker. They game planned for Tyrod, and to a point, there's some truth there because everybody's got their tendencies. But at the end of the day, you got to give credit to a guy who's been sitting on the bench, who's not warmed up, who's able to step into the role and immediately do the job and win the game from 14 down. It's the NFL. I don't care who you're playing.
It's not going to be
and
easy.
And you only get to do it in a half, pretty much.
It was an impressive victory. It was impressive for anyone to come off the bench and win that game.
Absolutely.
Okay. But again, you also can't get ahead of yourself. We don't know what Baker Mayfield. We know what he is in college. We saw it. He was electrifying and unstoppable. That's why he won the Heisman. But in the NFL, again, it is tough. But we saw Frank Reich come off the bench and win a playoff game 35 points down. And what happened to him?
Probably the greatest comeback of all time,
Right.
especially in playoff history.
Exactly. So, it's like the Dennis Green quote: "If you want to crown him, crown him." I'm not ready to do that yet.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be?
He'll be good.
I think he's going to be fantastic.
I mean, I'm not here to
But-
say what the career is going to look like at the end of it, but for people that are calling for him, he's going to be a bust. Just stop.
Oh, you can't.
He's
You
not going
can't.
to be a bust.
He has not
Just
been a
stop
bust.
trying to prove yourself right.
He's
You got a
proved
lot of
everybody
people-
wrong from high school to college twice,
Actually-
and now to the NFL.
Actually, to be 100% honest, continue saying those
Yeah.
things to all the people that are critics, to all the people that are like, no, Sam Darnold's better, even though on that night he wasn't as good, he's going to have a better career. Keep saying that stuff, because guess what?
That's what he
That
feeds
is
off of.
exactly
He
his
feeds
fuel.
off of that more than anyone
Just continue.
I have ever
Just do that.
seen.
Because this is the same guy that just told his coach back in Texas Tech days, I'm not your towel boy.
Yes.
This is the same guy. He's got that fuel, he's got that fire. So yeah, just keep coming out and saying, yeah, he's going to be a bust, or he's not going to be that good, or Sam Darnold's better, or just say whatever you're going to say. The Browns suck, or
Haters
they
gonna
didn't play
hate.
that great. Yeah, keep hating, because for whatever reason, whatever is going on upstairs in Baker Mayfield's head, he's fueling off of it.
Yes, he is.
And it's only making him better. So
Yep.
continue.
And the people in Cleveland just want to forget LeBron James. So
And they, of course, got to absolutely party. They finally were able to break open the cooler, the
you
Bud
think they
Light
had
coolers.
a Bud Light cooler in the visitors' locker room? Would
Man,
that not have been?
That would have been great.
So when they all open all over town, the visitors' locker room, they're like, "Well, shit. Well, let's have one anyway."
Now I know they filmed the Bud Light the night. I don't know how many Bud Light nights there were out there that were handing these out. Maybe it was just this one PR thing, but they have a Bud Light night out there handing out the Bud Lights to the
Yes.
people in Cleveland, and that was awesome. You said something about it was connected with Wi-Fi, or
Yes, it was fascinating. I mean, people just standing around these coolers, and all of a sudden, the chains just drop. You're like, "Oh, that was so cool!" And then
Yes.
they open up the coolers and start handing them out.
What a great PR promo
Oh,
by
man.
Bud Light. I mean, that was just, boy, that's as good as it gets right there.
That's
And
better than the Nike
city,
campaign.
The city, and we're watching, of course, from the barn. We're watching all the people outside the stadium. We're watching this whole deal, and it's like we're making the joke. People are making the same joke online at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's making the same joke. Like, it's like they just won the Super Bowl, you know. But because that's the feeling.
It
it's
is.
that electric. It's that ecstatic. It's just like, yeah.
Well, they're an
we-
amazing fan base,
yeah,
and they've been
yeah, we
they've
just feel like
deserved
we
to
just won
win.
the Super Bowl.
You know, I mean, imagine a fan base as passionate as Cleveland not getting a victory for 2 years.
That's a long time.
It is,
That is a drought.
long time. I mean, it's just
Golly.
you
And
know,
their team is legitimately good. That defense
Well,
is
you
what
know-
keeps them in games, and they're really
Yes.
good.
I think
You've
last
got
year-
Myles Garrett that can get after the quarterback, and then the corner, their rookie corner, Denzel Ward. That guy is really good.
Mm. Well, even last year, I mean, 0-16 last year, but I think there were 6 games that they lost by 4 points or less,
Yeah.
if I recall. I mean, I'm not a statistical guru, so anybody can fact check me on that, and I may be wrong, but it was in that neighborhood.
Sure.
So, that tells you their defense, because their offense was terrible last year.
Usually means you're a play here, play there,
Right.
turning it around.
Exactly.
If those plays start going your way. So
And and it's not unheard of for we've seen teams do that turnaround. I mean, look what you had a Cowboys team that went 1-15, and then 2 years later they're winning Super Bowls.
that's right.
So
Yeah.
if
Not that we're going that far, ladies
we're not
and
going
gentlemen.
that far, but
Right.
if you continue to develop first round talent year after year after year,
Yeah.
as long as you've got good leadership, which unfortunately I don't think the Cleveland Browns do, not in Hugh Jackson.
Yeah, maybe not.
But
Because that's the other question was if Tyrod Taylor doesn't get hurt, how much longer is he still playing in that game?
Right.
We really don't know the
don't
answer
know.
to that. We can guess.
and
According to the fans, they wanted him out by halftime, but Hugh Jackson might be stubborn enough to be like, no, I'm going with my guy. He may play him the rest of the game.
And
They
I-
were down by 14.
and I could be wrong. And again, another fact check me on this, but the general manager, Dorsey.
Yep, Dorsey.
What's his pedigree?
Well, he's been with other organizations and had quite a bit of success.
Last team he built,
Yeah,
we're going to see him tomorrow.
that's right. Yep,
I believe he was a GM for Kansas City,
yep.
and kind of spearheaded these trades for Patrick Mahomes and these players that they have now before he left for Cleveland 2 years ago. So the man's built a roster here, and again, in the NFL, this is the league of you've got to give it time. Things don't happen overnight. So
Yeah, anywhere. It
No.
just doesn't.
But-
It just doesn't. As much as the impatient fan base and everybody wants it to, it can't.
now there are very few leaders as competent as what you get in an Andy Reid. Cleveland doesn't have that. But from the top, with what John Dorsey was able to accomplish building this roster, he built it over time. Andy Reid didn't build this.
Yeah.
They're
a good team.
So
They're the kind of team that's going to be able to put out a few wins. I mean, not enough. I don't see it yet as this year as a playoff type team, but they're going to get some wins, and then they'll have to make some decisions to get to that next level. But,
they will.
But I mean,
But you know what?
They're going to be decent, man. They're a good team.
And again,
They're not an easy out.
you find the right head coach. I mean, look, I love the Josh Gordon move. He's a cancer. Get him out.
Yeah.
The guys.
Although he ends up going to the Patriots.
That was kind of weird.
All teams.
I'll admit that. I mean, trade him. You can't tell me the Cowboys wouldn't have traded a 4th round pick for him.
They mentioned interest in him. So it's just weird that the Cowboys did mention, like Jerry Jones mentioned, interest in
That's the best
Gordon,
case scenario. Here you have an
which seems obvious right now.
outstanding, all-world talent receiver.
Yeah.
Why do you want to give him to a quarterback that is all-world talent in your own conference? Give him to a team that is just going to waste him. Give him to a team that is willing to give you the same picks with no quarterback. I'm sorry, Dak Prescott, I wouldn't trust him to throw a newspaper to my front porch. He's not accurate. He's not good. Give him to the Dallas Cowboys, and he's no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
You get the same pick. Matter of fact, you're going to get a better. I don't know. Was it a 4th round pick, 5th round pick? What'd they get for him?
Yeah, it was something small.
Right, it's something small. Let's just assume it was a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
Okay. If I get a 5th round pick out of the Cowboys or out of the Patriots, what am I getting? I'm going to get a, roughly anywhere between 10 and 17 for the Cowboys, and I'm going to get 31 for the Patriots.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, you've increased your draft potential just by giving him to a worse team.
Yeah. And with Gordon, you're looking at the potential, the high end, the ceiling. If he's a bust, he's a bust. If he just turns out he's still a head case, even in New England, then there's really not that much loss. They've already cut their losses with several receivers this year, but the potential is there.
Oh yeah, look at Randy Moss before New England, the year before, and the year of. I mean
the year they went undefeated and it was like video game numbers.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
What New England and Tom Brady can do with a good wide receiver should scare the hell out of everybody.
That was something that came up this week. I bring that up. There's a book being done. Maybe you've heard of this. It's called Belichick, The Making of the Greatest Football Coach of All Time. It is written by ESPN's Ian Connor. It's kind of got some interesting takes from the book. They interview 300 I forgot exactly how many, 300 and different people or whatever. But they get this feeling from the book. They get the feeling that the reason New England is because Belichick is so great. And they even take it to the point of saying, these are from anonymous. And Ian Connor's a journalist. This isn't like made up stuff. This is what he truly got. But there's a general consensus or feeling that out of New England, basically, that they would have had the same success with any of the, say, top 15 quarterbacks. That seems a little crazy to me.
That, if you say a little crazy,
Maybe a lot crazy?
it's a lot crazy. It is absurd.
Yeah.
Okay.
Top 15 quarterbacks.
Uh,
There's 32 teams.
Well, let's just go back to the 49ers of the late 80s, early 90s. Head coach, George Seifert.
Well, he took over after
Bill Walsh.
Yeah.
But George Seifert wins Super Bowls with...
He won one with...
he won one with Montana.
Yeah. The one...
And was he the head coach?
Steve Young, it was...
Who was the head coach?
Mariucci was the coach with Steve Young and Ricky Waters and the greatest team that money could buy. 94 against the Chargers.
Was Mariucci the head coach then?
Mariucci was the Chargers. Okay. I mean, I can fact check myself, but my phone is all the way over there.
And mine is completely dead, so I had in my head
I'm pretty certain Seifert won that very last one of the dynasty.
Exactly.
And then I believe this is right. Mariucci won the one in 94 where they blow out the Chargers in the Super Bowl, and they just have the super team.
But let's fast forward another 3, 4, 5 years, and we put George Seifert, who is a good coach, as the head coach of Carolina Panthers. Mm-hmm. And he stinks.
Well, heck, even Bill Walsh went on to coach Stanford, and they were pretty minimal with success there.
Right. It is.
It's not always a great fit.
It's not always a great fit, but it is always all about the quarterback. You can't...
I don't understand.
To a certain degree, you can't. Now,
I don't understand the reasoning. I don't understand why I don't understand the one or the other. I don't understand why there's such a... obviously, in the offseason, there was a whole lot made about Brady. Even Brady had made comments. So, he's feeling this way. Like, he's feeling like he's not even really getting that much credit from his people. So, he's feeling that. And now you're getting these kind of quotes out of a book from a journalist. And you just kind of get this feeling like, man, and I'm not a fan of Brady. That's what I hate about this. I don't want to sit here and take up for Tom Brady.
Right.
But it's like, dude, can the guy get the respect or whatever? Like, the guy is really, really good, and it's all in the statistics, it's all in the QBR, but it's also in the things that you just can't rate. It's the pre-snap stuff where he's picking apart defenses before the ball's even snapped. It's all that stuff.
The problem with a guy writing a book like this is he watches Nick Saban too much. You see a college coach who has success year after year after year after year in the same exact system, and he has to turn his entire roster over every 4 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's it. You don't keep the same players. You don't keep a Tom Brady for his entire career, 12 years, whatever we're at now.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but you see the kind of success, and you can kind of compare them. They're both that kind of guy that, unless you're buddy with him, you don't want to ask him the wrong question in an interview. Otherwise, he's going to make you a fool in front of 50 other journalists, and you're going to be talked about. And he's the smartest man in the room.
Yeah.
Whether he is or not, he believes it, and he always will.
Oh, absolutely.
And he and Nick Saban are cut from that same cloth. But Nick Saban has all this success, and you think, well, I'm sure Bill Belichick would too.
Yeah.
The difference is we saw Nick Saban do it at LSU. Now, we saw him try it at Miami, and, it didn't work, but he was only there for, one season?
Something like that. But of course, he was also denied the opportunity to get Drew Brees as his quarterback. Does his career look differently? Is he still the Dolphins coach if he's got Drew Brees as his quarterback?
Right. But the biggest thing
probably because I think we agree on that. I think we think that if you've got an All-Pro Hall of Famer quarterback like that,
you're going to stick around and see what you've got.
Absolutely.
But we have seen
Drew Brees go.
We have seen Nick Saban go from Michigan State, LSU to Alabama and have success.
Yes.
And, where Bill Belichick, we've seen him go other places. And
he was with Cleveland. How did that go?
As an assistant coach, he's had great success.
He's with the Giants, and they were great success there.
But arguably, he was underneath one of the greatest head coaches of all time.
Yeah, why is Iowa doing this right now? Like, you're down 28-17. Why are we doing the laterals with 3 seconds left? Would you just in the game, Iowa.
Let it go.
Seriously, like that was a forward pass. Just stop with the nonsense. They're still doing it.
They're still going.
He's down. Did he fumble
Nope,
it?
now we've got a flag.
Now we got a flag because it's like ugliness on the field. Number whoever.
Probably. Oh,
You're down by 11. You're not going to win the game. Time's off the
there
clock.
You go. Thank you for falling down.
That is terrible.
Now I'm just. Oh, and he gets up and pushes the guy.
Like try that hard when there's actually a clock.
Let's make sure this isn't a.
Yeah, come back, guys. This is nuts. Like, stop. I can understand if you're within a score.
Goes, illegal forward pass.
Yeah, I knew that was.
Speaking of illegal forward pass, did you see Pittsburgh or Ben Roethlisberger throw the forward pass after he crossed the line of scrimmage last week? I'm still bitter about that. They lost. They lost. I don't care about that. But
you are bitter about that.
I'm pretty sure he crossed the line of scrimmage before the ball was released.
It is an absolute clown show right now in Pittsburgh. You got Le'Veon Bell still holding out. You had Antonio Brown, who Monday didn't even show up for team meetings. He finally shows up on Wednesday, and then all of a sudden he's singing to the tune of, I'm a team guy.
Yeah, but let him trade me. See what happens. What
was
that?
That was a former, not a beat writer, but a writer for the Steelers that he gets into a Twitter little battle with. It's like, well, yeah, trade me and let's see. And it's just like, just stop. And and then he comes back. He's like, no, of course I don't want to be traded. And he's all about the team now. And he's walking to the right tune and all that stuff. It's just like, this nonsense has got to stop. You guys are not looking that great right now. I mean, your defense isn't playing well, which is pretty bad. You got Connor, who's playing pretty well at running back in place of Bell, and then obviously it's weird. The Steelers have got arguably, they've got the number one wide receiver in the league. You've got arguably the number one running back in the entire league. And yet, that's where you're getting all this drama from.
They're falling apart. I mean, is this an epic collapse, or is this just a little bit of turmoil?
Just right now, it's turmoil. It's not an epic collapse yet because they're not. If this team doesn't make the playoffs, it's an epic collapse. You've got a future Hall of Famer at quarterback, at Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you got what I just mentioned at your skill positions.
Oh yeah, you don't make the playoffs. You've got Hall of Famers all over that roster,
right? And you don't make the playoffs. Yeah. That would be the epic. That'd be the epic fail right there. But they're not there yet. But they could. Them and the Patriots going into the season should be the obvious favorites in the AFC. But now, not so much. I think the Patriots are extremely vulnerable. The Steelers look extremely vulnerable. Hell, they looked extremely vulnerable to the Browns, for God's sakes. They tied the Browns. So they look very beatable. At this point, and the way, this is still too early to tell, but the way the Chiefs are playing, the Chiefs look better.
The Chiefs do look better. Again, defensively,
they've already beat the best team in their division, by the way, on the road.
I arguably they have.
They beat the Chargers.
I
believe the Chargers are better than
Denver's
the Broncos.
Denver's still 2-0, so but they're not a convincing 2-0.
Broncos are full skulled.
But right now, I mean, if you're watching, the Rams and the Jaguars right now look like AFC, NFC, the two best.
People wanted to go into the season saying the Jaguars were going to take a step back, that they really weren't that good. My thought was, and I picked the Jaguars to come out of their division. Defense, how do you have a fake defense? The defense was legitimately good, and nothing changed over the offseason.
Right.
So to me, it was like, how would the Jaguars fall backwards? Their defense is really, really good.
They are outstanding.
If anything, they'll definitely be in the mix. So I had them come out of the division. Beyond that, I wasn't real sure because of Blake Bortles. But by the way, Blake Bortles right now is looking amazing. And somebody else that's looking amazing, no one saw coming, Ryan Fitzpatrick. No one saw
what kind of style does that man have?
No one
coming
saw that
out?
coming.
Did you see the post-game press conference?
Yeah, no one saw that coming. The guy looks like Conor McGregor. No one saw that coming. The guy's blowing it up.
Remind me again where he went to college.
He went to Harvard or
Yale.
Yeah, he went to Yale. The Yale people are pissed now. They're like, "You just say you went to Harvard?" God, he's like a rocket scientist.
On. People who went to Yale don't listen to us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, two idiots. Yeah, we're totally gonna listen to that. Yeah, if we wanted to listen to two idiots, we'd listen to people from Colombia. Where's my latte? But Fitzpatrick's on a tear.
Oh, he is.
He's got one more game
He's
left
so
for
fun.
sure because Winston, of course, doesn't come back till week 4.
If he wins, do you leave him in? You have to.
It's an obvious. That's another one of those, to me, obvious things of duh.
But we say it's obvious. I mean,
You go with the guy with the hot hand, and with Jameis Winston stuff, it's still going on. The girl is now suing. The Uber driver is now suing him.
Yeah.
It's still going on. So I think, I don't know. He's a head case. I think if I'm Tampa Bay, I'm ready to go a different direction. You know, you go, you ride with Fitzpatrick for now until you find another quarterback. But I think they know at this point Jameis is not the guy.
Right.
I think the fan base knows it. The NFL knows it. And you just we know that there's going to come a day when Fitzpatrick's going to go. This isn't going to keep riding out like this. He's played too long in the league to show himself. Like he's got his hit and miss days.
He does, but
you ride it.
When was the last time we saw a backup quarterback? That don't.
It's a fun story.
But, right, but I mean, you even look at. I mean, even and I even go back to the last time we saw this, like when Tony Romo got hurt and Dak Prescott gets put in.
Yeah.
And they go on that tear of.
Yeah, but Dak wasn't putting up these numbers.
Dak wasn't doing it. It was their defense, their offensive line, and Zeke. I mean,
Zeke was running the ball crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. When was the last time we saw a backup quarterback come in? The last time.
He's lighting it up.
Is it Kurt Warner?
And that
when he came in for Trent Green?
Yes.
And
greatest show on turf.
Greatest show on turf.
No, that's it.
And that's what this is reminiscent of. I mean, now I'm not saying
Except
I'm
Kurt
not
wasn't in the league that long at that point. He had just come out from bagging groceries.
Right. Nobody knew who he was. I mean,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm saying. It's kind of comparable in that fun way.
Absolutely.
Am I saying that they're going to win a Super Bowl, anything like that? By no means, no.
No, it's an absolute.
But,
it's a fun story.
But it's
what
fun.
it is.
It
Absolutely.
is absolute. It's a joy to watch.
It is. And the Monday night game is, we just talked about the clown show of Pittsburgh. They're playing Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's 2-0. Pittsburgh's almost in a must-win situation at this point.
And they can't defend the pass. They've shown that so far this year.
So that's an intriguing game.
It is highly intriguing. It should be fun.
It becomes a game that's way more interesting than the Sunday night game, the Patriots Lions. But yeah, there's so much intrigue now with all this stuff that's going on both sides.
Yeah,
that's actually an interesting game now. If you would have said at the very beginning of the season, "Hey man, we got this Monday night game. It's Steelers and Buccaneers," and we're like, "Oh, yawn. That's an easy win for the Steelers."
Yes.
Yeah. Let's just go to bed. But that's actually an intriguing matchup now.
It is, and you just cannot help but root for the guy.
Yeah,
I mean, how
absolutely.
can you not?
The guy's got personality, and oh my god, the whole thing. He's wearing what's his name's clothes? Deshaun Jackson's clothes from the team, and the whole deal. It's just fun.
It's good.
It is. It's fun. That's good stuff from the NFL. We love it, and yeah, man. I hate to cut out of the NFL for a second, but we mentioned he's got the look of Conor McGregor. Do you keep up with MMA at all?
I have not.
Okay, well, I want to bring this up because we've got the big fight coming up on October 6th. There's not many stars in the MMA, and there's not many stars in boxing generally,
right?
Which I feel is a dying sport. But MMA, you got Conor McGregor facing off with this guy Khabib, and I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name.
We wouldn't dare.
He's from one of those countries. It's not the country where Borat. It's not the country. It's not Uzbekistan, because Uzbekistan, remember, Borat calls the assholes, but it's the country nearby.
Right.
It's one of the Nukkadun. Khabib is from there. So anyway, I get that kind of leniency because we're called Two Idiots Talk Sports.
Exactly.
And so that fight's going to happen October 6th. Now, the drama leading up to all of this, of course, is whatever they've got this beef, and there's this huge incident after this big fight or whatever. These two are not fighting in it, but Conor comes out and he's daring Khabib to come out of the shuttle bus. There's Khabib and some other MMA fighters in this shuttle bus being taken out of the stadium back to the hotel or whatever.
Oh, is this the incident several months back where he's throwing the
he's demanding
chairs
Khabib
and
to
barrier?
come out, and he's not coming out, and he runs over and he picks up something and smashes it through one of the passenger glass and gets one of the other fighters cut with glass, and there's this whole deal, and it's like this weird Green Street hooligans type deal thing going, and anyway, so there's this. You wonder how much of it's real and how much of it's whatever, to an extent, you know.
Yeah.
It just seems so weird. Conor goes to jail for the night for the thing, and it's just this weird deal. Well, now they're finally going to fight on October the 6th, and the press conference was a few days ago. And one thing I've got to give Conor McGregor, whether you love him or hate him, he's on the level of like Muhammad Ali when it comes to promoting a fight, his own fight.
Right.
I mean, he's just on that level. They come out, Khabib's sitting down, Conor comes out in his suit and his 2 title belts, and he's cussing and he's calling out Khabib, calling him every name in the book, and he like if he was allowed to, he would kill him. I mean, crazy stuff. And you're just like no, you're not like the as a phrase like, hey man, I'm gonna kill you, but like literally like, no man, I want to literally kill you. You know, it's just like, oh my gosh, with the accent. But you know it's a promotion because he brings out this whiskey bottle. And he's like, they didn't think I'd bring this in or whatever, this whiskey or whatever. And he sits down this empty bottle, but he brings out this flask of whiskey. But I brought the whiskey in. And he even does this. He pours a shot or a glass for Dana White. And Dana White's, kind of playing along, and he drinks some of it, and he's trying to give some to Khabib, and Khabib's like, I do not drink, and he's like, ha, and he drinks it right there, and he slams it down, and he names the name of the whiskey, which just so happens to be the sponsor of that particular UFC fight, 220 whatever. Their logo is supposed to be in the middle of the octagon. So, it's like, come on, dude. You're just massively promoting this deal. But yeah, he's out there just cussing at him, getting at him, just calling him names, almost poetic. It did remind me a lot of like Muhammad Ali type stuff.
So now, being from wherever I stand,
Yes. You real a-hole.
Does Khabib speak English enough to understand what McGregor is spouting out?
He does.
Okay.
He does, and it's great. It's just funny. He just stares off. He's just waiting for. Basically, I'm just waiting for him to finish. Like. Yeah, he almost has the same look as since we bring up the Borat reference, he has the same look as the neighbor. When he's sitting there saying, I get watch, he get watch. I get clock radio, he no can afford. Great success. And he's got that arms folded like, look. Yeah, Khabib's kind of got that look on his face. I got suit, he no can afford. Great success, yes. Great success. This is my sister. So it makes the fight intriguing. I don't know if anybody out there is going to buy the pay-per-view, but it's one of the more interesting matchups. It's October 6th. It's It's a hell of a lot more interesting than did you hear there's going to be a rematch of Pacquiao and Mayweather? Why?
I don't know.
Why?
I have no interest in that. I did have
I'll tell
interest
you one
in
reason
the
why.
Mayweather.
It's because boxing's not interesting anymore.
Right.
There's no great fighters out there that are promoted. We don't know
Nobody
any
cares
other fighters.
about it anymore.
We know about the Canelo Triple G fight that just took place in another long, boring ass decision, so that they can have part 3.
Yep.
And then the only other fighters are Mayweather, who's now past his prime, and Pacquiao, who's also past his prime. They're both in their 40s. That's it. There's no other boxing unless you're really into boxing.
The reason this rematch is going to happen is the same reason that there is going to be a heads-up play pay-per-view match between Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson.
Yeah.
You've got all these, great athletes in their sports, but they're all past their prime. Now, I will say, Tiger's making a comeback. He has been competitive. I didn't see what he did today, but
I didn't either.
he has been competitive.
We've been actually
over the
watching football.
over the last,
Sorry.
4 months. He's been competitive, surprisingly.
Yeah.
But this thing was announced long before he's the Tiger Woods that we thought he was.
Yeah.
So it's like this. We're in this nostalgia movement. I mean, are we going to get like a rematch between Rocky and Apollo, just for shits and giggles on a I mean,
Well, they keep making the movie. It's like, well, now their kids are going to fight. I mean, it's the same type of deal. That's what it is. It's like, well, we've got no names in boxing. Hey, Mayweather and Pacquiao, for the right amount of money, you want to fight again?
I'll be honest with you.
Sure. I wonder how that's going to go.
I would pay more money to see Tyson and Holyfield fight again.
Why not? I mean,
I would rather see that fight again than I would.
This is how bad boxing is. No, I mean, really, this is how bad boxing has become. Not just for there to be a Mayweather Pacquiao 2, which I don't know if there'll hope. I hope there's no success in that fight.
Oh, I hope so.
Just so that can move on and maybe find some other good fighters or something. But
Right.
get away from that. But you see another trend that's going on, and that is you now have these internet guys that are now fighting. And that's actually now receiving the attention. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, Logan Paul's going to fight. Like, oh, Logan Paul? Who the hell is Logan Paul? And
Exactly.
Oh, they're going to fight? These are not even trained fighters.
No.
But people are now more interested in because it's like, boxing, whatever.
Right.
Oh, yeah, Eminem's in a tiffy with Machine Gun Kelly? Yeah. I mean, they're not going to go fight in a ring. But this Logan Paul...
Oh, no, they'll shoot each other.
Yeah. It's just Eminem was just killing with words. Yeah, but yeah, now you get internet stars that are like, well, we'll fight. And it's like, well, I guess that's going to get more views than regular boxing.
Yeah,
it's dying. It is dying. So I don't know, and to me that's just the obvious billboard sign right there that's happening. Is you've got more interest in that.
Well, it's gladiator mentality. I mean, people would much rather see, the drop the gloves, get in the octagon, and they want to see blood. They want to see,
you
kicking.
You want to see
screaming
stars. You want to see stars. The problem is with MMA, is it's really, really hard to stay on top for a long time.
Oh yeah,
in MMA.
It's so violent. It's there's just you're not going to get.
You have to have massive respect for the people that have done it in the past. But it is extremely difficult to stay on top for a long time in MMA. Because you just think about how hungry you have to be to get to that point in the first place. And then to stay on top of that. Well,
just to get to that point, I mean, you're talking about, winning these stupid, little state fair type tough man contests just to get to a point where you can get recognized, to get invited into their clubs.
Yeah.
And it's just, by the time you get to any point where you're going to get any type of recognition, you've been beat bloody and dumb.
And it's just
so brutal.
And it's human nature, once you get to the top, you're the champ. We saw it with Rousey. You get to the top and there's some contentment. I mean, especially for her. I mean, she was like... Hollywood was blowing her phone up. I mean, it was just like, hey, be in this movie, be in this movie, be on this show, be in this. And she's like, cool, yeah. And then it just takes away that edge. Mm-hmm. And then you get knocked out by somebody and you lose that piece of your edge as well. Because her edge before was, I'm going to come out there and destroy whoever I face. You just have that edge.
Yeah.
But once you get a sense of, oh, wow, I'm not unbeatable. Crap. Mm-hmm. There's a chink in that armor. And then now I'm doing these movies and my focus isn't fully here. It's over here. Now she's with the WWE, I mean, it's just like, you just take away that edge. It's just human nature. I don't fault her for it.
No.
I really don't. It's just to prove the point. That is really, really difficult to stay at that level,
It just, and that's the deal. No matter how good you are, there's always someone better.
Yeah.
And you have no idea where they're coming from.
You really don't. It's very, very true. So, big story this week, too. NFL Eric Dickerson's really leading, spearheading the charge on this, but Hall of Famers group of the committee are saying, basically they would boycott future Hall of Fame ceremonies unless they can get insurance and salaries for Hall of Fame players. And then you'd think, well, yeah, some of them pass away, so maybe that they would fall off the list. It didn't work that way. The families then would receive. So this just goes on for eternity. Because you've got Hall of Famers like your Junior Seaus and people of the world. That's another deal we can talk about another time. But 30-30, I haven't seen it yet. 30-30 just came out for Junior Seau. That's probably not going to be an uplifting 30 for 30.
Certainly not, no.
But I do want to see it, and it's going to be really good. Just like I want to see the Lawrence Taylor NFL Network.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Behind the scenes. But they're wanting insurance and they're wanting salaries on top of they already get a pension after they're done with the NFL. And Dickerson even admits that he right now they're going for the Hall of Fame players, but eventually they want it for all retired NFL players. And he wants, and even asked, well, how much salary do you think they should make? And he's like, I want them to get $300,000 in salary, which did the math for current. There's 318 Hall of Famers currently, and families included. That would be an expense of $95 million a year.
Shelve it.
And so...
Tell Eric Dickerson he made plenty of money during his career.
That's just in the salary.
Yeah.
$95 million a year.
Use that $95 million and pay for everybody's retirement as far as I'm concerned. Not retirement, I'm sorry. Health insurance. Okay, you're the NFL. You're a, $10 billion plus corporation.
Yeah, they did. They made $14 billion in 2017.
Okay, that's the NFL. That's not each individual team. That's the NFL.
And they've got their own expenses. I don't know how
they do have expenses.
I don't know how that $14 million breaks down.
The NFL, the year 2011, we had, the horrific attacks. We lost a week of the season, so the NFL had, already purchased. Forgive me, I do not recall where. Let's just say it was New Orleans that year, but the Super Bowl. The NFL basically purchases the city for that week.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, when the season went 1 week longer because they didn't have football for a week, then the NFL goes to New Orleans. Well, you know what? They've already booked GM. General Motors had already booked the entire, and again, I'm just going to say New Orleans right now, the Dome, what's their...
Superdome.
The Superdome. So the NFL bought General Motors.
Yeah.
They paid them to go to just say, pack your shit and get for 1 week. We're going to send you somewhere else. General Motors had this thing planned for a long time in advance.
Sure.
This was, and, the NFL season is,
as bad as GM's doing, they probably gladly took that money.
But the NFL has enough money to buy GM and say, okay, I know this has been in the works for 3 months.
Yeah.
You've planned this, you've bought everybody's tickets to go to this thing, your national convention, all that kind of stuff. Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So
they got the money.
They've got the money.
They got the money.
And it's readily available. It's not like they had to pull strings to get this, to take loans. No. They've got the money. It's readily available. You know what? It's a violent sport. It's brutal. The NFL already has a major black eye with CTE.
Sure.
You know what?
And there's a threat. I mean, there's always a threat. And, of course, the NFL is concerned of it. At any given moment with lawsuits or whatnot, man, that stuff could at any point kind of bring the thing down a bit.
Yeah.
They've got a lot going against them right now. They've got a lot of black eyes from different things, whether it's the domestic abuse, whether it's this the kneeling thing situation, the CTE. I mean, the NFL, man, I mean, it's not, hey, feel sorry for the NFL. I'm not saying that.
No.
Obviously, they're making money. But you could see at some point where that stops. Or slips off quite a bit,
Well, and the further you go into the black hole of
but if you're
bad
still
publicity,
paying $95 million a year for people the rest of their lives for eternity,
right? That's ridiculous. Again,
you don't have money anymore.
Listen, they all made money. You know, some make more than others, granted.
Some
And
squandered more than others.
Some squander more than others, and you know, and it's sad to say it, but you know, the guy who Sebastian Janikowski is a kicker,
That dude's still playing.
and he will make probably 3 times as much money in his career than Earl Campbell ever did,
Yeah.
and yet, you know, you can't go back and say, well, it's not fair that they made less money when we were less valuable. You can't do that.
Yeah, well,
You can't retroactively
you're
try
gonna
and
go
fix
back
that.
and be like,
But you can go back-
Staubach in his day was the best quarterback of his era, and he hardly made much money.
Right.
So Staubach, you're still alive. Hey, Staubach, we're gonna retroact your money because we just feel like you deserve
You
it.
should have made Tom Brady money back then. No, it doesn't work that way.
And do you think Staubach sat back and waited around and was like, man, I'm hoping someday the NFL realizes that how great I was
Yeah.
while I was on the field and they retroactively pay me? No, Staubach actually had a great business mind and actually is worth a ton because of
he
his
was
business.
smart. Right. He was real estate business
He didn't wait
after-
around for somebody to hopefully take care of him. He
Yeah.
actually was proactive. And you know, man, you're famous. You've got all these names. You got all these connections. You got all these
That's it.
opportunities. If you just sit back and wait, then there's no opportunity there.
No, but again, yeah, and that's the thing. You know what? And forget the Hall of Fame players. If you truly believe you made the game better, then you fight for the guys who didn't. You fight for those guys who were blocking for you, who aren't in the Hall of Fame, who you think didn't make the game better. Well,
Yeah.
they blocked for you, and you made the game better because of it. You know what?
Absolutely.
Fight for that guy.
Yeah.
Tell him that guy needs insurance. You know, don't fight for insurance for Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
You know what? You get behind the NFL Players Union and say, you know what? As Hall of Famers, we want to back the NFL Players Union, and we want everybody to get insurance.
Yeah.
Do something like that.
Bleeding Heart in me says I really do. I would like to see them have the insurance
Yeah.
after NFL for their have the insurance. The salaries to me are just absolutely ridiculous.
It's
especially
absurd,
after
is what it is.
after you do receive like some pension, which we looked it up, and this is for 2015 totals. But they would get an average pension. It's on average of $43,000 a year.
Right.
Not great money.
Not great.
Not great money, but if you're able to get the insurance, you got insurance for the rest of your life. You've got a pension of $43,000. This is if you're just sitting at home playing Madden for the rest of your life.
Right.
You have insurance taken care of.
And this is assuming you took, none of your money throughout your entire career as a professional
blew
player.
it all. You
and
got
blew it
nothing.
all. You're still going to get that $43,000 a
You're
year.
getting $43,000 a year
You know?
in free insurance.
Right, and I mean it's just, is $40,000 a year a lot of money? No, but for a retiree, if you've got everything else paid for, you can live on it. But that's the thing. As normal people, we can't just live off of Social Security. For our entire lives, there's not enough money there.
You can try.
You can try. But that's what I'm saying. You have to save money. You have to put money back. You have to have some kind of a 401k, retirement plan, something.
Yeah.
That's what these guys should be doing. You
Should.
You just can't say, well,
Easier
I'm going
said than done, right?
I'm going to have to fall back on money because it's there. Like I said, I worked for McDonald's when I was 16 years old. It's not like I can go back to Ronald and say, hey,
I helped build this empire.
I helped build this empire. Give me something.
Oh, now another unfortunate story came out this week. I say unfortunate. Stormy Daniels has got a memoir, and
Oh, good.
of course you wonder how much truth comes out in something like this because it's all publicity. She's wanting to sell books. She's wanting to do all this stuff, but of course she comes right out. She
I love the
says
fact
some
that somebody
things.
wants to sell books who can't even read them.
Before I get into the Trump stuff, she does mention an encounter with Ben Roethlisberger. Of course, Roethlisberger back in failing on the year at the moment, but remember he was charged with rape
Exactly.
in a restroom,
Sexual assault, yep.
and has kind of we'll call it a reputation. I think that's fair, right?
Exactly.
No one's calling this guy a saint by any means.
No, he's the Kobe Bryant of the NFL.
So, and well, and even in that regards, I would say the Kobe Bryant thing was a known one-time incident type of deal. Whereas with Ben, you get that sneaky suspicion that there's multiple incidents.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't even put it on the Kobe Bryant level. Like, I feel like he's just another level.
Exactly.
So anyway, all that said, so Stormy Daniels says there was an incident where that she's hanging out and there's Trump, of course, and there's Roethlisberger. Trump asks Ben Roethlisberger to walk Stormy Daniels back to or over to her hotel room, and she's feeling uncomfortable. Roethlisberger's trying to basically they get to the room and he would like to come in, check out the room, maybe it's a little different than everybody else's. He was just wanting to see what kind of paintings they had on the wall and whatnot.
Totally innocent.
What brand of coffee they may have left in the room to brew. But essentially, she's feeling a little nervous. This is a big guy. I mean, she says she doesn't normally get intimidated by people. She's who she is, and hey,
exactly.
I don't care. But she said she was genuinely intimidated by Ben Roethlisberger, and that he's essentially going, basically trying to go in for a kiss, kind of almost to a point of demanding to going into the hotel room. And at the end of all, nothing ends up happening, but it's kind of like she has to really kind of like he's almost forcing her way in. She has to shove the door, lock it type of deal to give him the hint, quote unquote, the hint that she's not interested, which seems odd to me. I don't know why. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he's just that much of a jerk. I mean, he's been Roethlisberger at the prime of his career. I don't know. But yeah, Stormy says she wasn't interested. But that's just one of the many intriguing things. The Trump stuff.
She might just not be a Steelers fan. You don't know.
She may not, man. Maybe she's a Ravens. It's a big rivalry. Maybe she's a Ravens fan. So she does the big no-no. She comes out and starts really describing Trump's penis in this memoir.
Oh, good.
Oh, I should have filmed on a video at this point to get your visual reaction there. Like, oh, here we go. Thanks for bringing this up, Chance. But she describes the encounter, which of course he's denied. But she describes the sexual encounter as quote the least impressive sex I've ever had. Women can be a little mean. I mean, the least. I don't know. The least seems a bit much. I don't know. That's a stretch. Unless he's just like, all right, you're doing all right. Okay, move a little bit to the left. Okay, sorry.
In her defense.
Yeah.
This is a woman who spent her career in the adult film industry, correct?
Sure, with dudes that are propped up and ready to go, like been fluffed, probably juiced,
but
or
we
whatever.
can also agree that most men that are in the adult film industry don't get that way because they are least impressive.
No, you don't just grab random guy off the street.
No.
You do several interviews, probably
it's like training camp. I'm sure there's tryouts.
There's a couple of auditions. It's not quite, you don't run the 4-4-40 or something like that. You do your own version of it, like how long does he last.com. I don't know why I made that a website.
So
hashtag 15 minutes or more or something. But
after you've been, let's say, perused through the male populace of the adult film industry.
Sure.
You probably don't remember much else in terms of all the lesser of impressive stature of men.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So when you do come across someone who is a billionaire, who
you remember that one? That's true. Yeah.
Who could care less what you thinks about him? All you are is a trophy to him.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he makes that pretty clear.
Yeah.
And she even she states as the reason why this encounter happened. Obviously, like I said, he denies it, but it's at the time where he's doing the show The Apprentice, and essentially she's wanting to get onto the show, and he's offering to her. She's not asking for it. This is all according to the memoir, of course. Basically, he's offering her, hey, if we do this, I can get you on the show Apprentice, and not only that, I can even kind of wink, wink, help you cheat, so to speak, to get far into the show, if not to the end or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Basically, pull strings and get you to the thing. So she's saying that she did this out of interest of that, this for that type of deal, you know. But basically, quote. Getting back into quotes here. It was a huge mushroom head, like a toadstool. I lay there annoyed that I was getting effed. Why did I say effed? We're a podcast. Fucked by a guy with Yeti pubes and a dick. Oh, hang on. I mean, good God. Did you have to go there with the Yeti pubes? All right, and I'll finish.
So we're assuming that
and a dick.
The president does not manscape?
Well, and Yeti... You know, I'm assuming not the cooler. I'm assuming, the abominable. I mean, why would you compare it to Abominable Snowman in the first place? Like, how many pictures of Abominable Smoke? Anyway, she goes there. She does. Yeti pubes.
But she just used Yeti as an adjective, and I bravo on that.
Yeah, kudos. You don't hear that very often.
Maybe
that's a new thing. Hashtag Yeti pubes.
Hashtag Yeti pubes.
And then to finish the quote, a dick like the mushroom character in Mario Kart. Now I'm offended because I know that
ruined our childhood.
Because I know who that is. That's Toad. And to call him the mushroom character, like, you should know who that is.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm offended now. That's Toad. You're calling him Toad Dick. Long story short, that's what you're saying. You're saying, okay.
Or
President
short story long.
Or short story long or limp. Toad Dick is what you're calling. Yeah. So anyway, we learned that about President Trump, so to speak. You're assuming all of
this is true. And
let's
face
all
it,
fact, and of course
she's no Princess Peach. Let's just say.
She's like, it's almost like Bowser dressed up as Princess Peach, which is an interesting. I'm not gonna get that visual out, but like, woohoo! Yeah, like I don't even know who Mario is in this situation, but yeah, I don't know, man. I just see this as a way of getting back, being mean.
Oh yeah.
It could be 100% truthful. I don't know, and I don't care. But now the entire country gets visuals of our president. It's funny. You don't hear this kind of nonsense with, say what you will about past presidents, man. You don't hear this stuff about Obama or Bush or Clinton. Oh, okay, dang it. I almost went to Clinton. Oh, you didn't hear about his pubes, but you heard about some details. Never mind on Clinton. Okay, that's the exception to the rule. And JFK. Okay, all right. Anyway, never mind. Okay, maybe you do hear about these things, but I don't know, man. It's just crazy.
There just wasn't as much social media around, so
it's worse now.
It is so much worse.
You just
it makes you wonder who would want to run for president of this country.
You've really got to watch your penises and Q's. I mean, I'm sorry, your P's and Q's. My bad. I'm so sorry. And there's really, I mean, if you got a Toad Dick, there's not anything you can do about that. So whatever.
Well, Caitlyn Jenner would disagree.
Fair enough. That is true. She did do something about that. Not that we're saying she had a toad. We don't know. Don't care.
No.
But she did do something about the entire situation. So. So there's that. So you're welcome, America. If you haven't heard that already, then you have now. And that was big news of the week because of the memoir coming out, which I'm sure will make tons of money because it's got all kind of juicy stuff like that in it, and everybody wants to read about it.
Everybody will believe every word.
Depends on whose side you're on. You notice that, right? It's just
Yes.
whoever side you're on, you believe or disbelieve it.
Kind of like, if it's on the internet, it's true. If it's in print, regardless of the fact that it was from an uneducated porn star, it's true.
Feel good story of the week, just real quick. We talk about these receivers that I'm holding out, man, or I'm this, and you got your Des Bryants of the world, the Antonio Browns of the world, and all these guys. Larry Fitzgerald, who continues to lead by example in the wide receiver community. Locally in Scottsdale, Arizona, there's a family-owned restaurant there. The name of it is Casella's Italian Delicatessen. It's in like a deli in Scottsdale. The owner, the guy, looking for his first name, Joe Casella, is diagnosed with cancer. Okay? So what Larry Fitzgerald does, I don't know how he knows the guy beforehand. Maybe he ate at the establishment before and, or somehow maybe heard of the story somewhere, but it just seems like he may have known the guy before in some capacity. But what he does is he sets up a deal where on a particular day, that happened this week, from 12 to 5, he basically put out all sorts of promotion. He's going to buy everybody's lunch if they come to Casella's. And all they needed to do was just bring in donations. So 12 to 5, they get so many people. I've been looking. I haven't even heard a dollar amount yet, but it's astronomical. They had a line over the entire time for over the 5 hours. There was a line just to get into this mom and pop, Italian deli place in Scottsdale. And just a great deal by Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, just great deal helping the family. The community comes in, they donate, and it's just one of those feel-good things where you're like, receivers, can you not be all about you? And can you learn something from this guy right here, please?
Everybody can learn something from that guy. It doesn't have to
That's
be receivers.
correct.
I mean, it's just...
I just think of receivers, but you're right. You're right.
People in general. I mean... I used to love, and this, it makes me happy thinking about this being Larry Fitzgerald, but, Kurt Warner played with him in Arizona for a while. And,
oh, yeah.
There's a story with Kurt Warner, him and, large family.
Yeah.
Him and his wife have, I don't know how many kids, but they don't eat out a lot. But he says when they do, they always pick, just let one of the kids look around the restaurant and find another family, and they pay for their meal. At the same time, that's just one of the things that they always do when they go out to dinner.
Yeah,
and
pass
stuff
that on
like
to your kids. Yeah,
yeah, and you wonder if did Larry Fitzgerald? I mean, I'm not saying that Larry Fitzgerald wouldn't have been this kind of guy before, but is that something that he picks up from a guy like Kurt Warner?
Sure, you never know.
You don't know, but it's trickle down stuff like that. It's like we all could be so much better.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
So cool. Love stories like that.
Absolutely, kudos to Fitzgerald and the great people out there that do things that we don't even hear about.
Oh yeah,
So
and good for everybody who went out there to that deli because they're they're going out there for donations. I mean, it's good stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, what a great, you work in the restaurant industry that long, you're owning your own little place or whatever, and you just wonder. I'm sure the guys just wonder if people out there even care, and to have something like that. Sometimes it's not even about the money; it's just the amount of people just coming out and just showing that they care. I'm sure that was probably overwhelming for this guy.
Oh, yeah.
So absolutely amazing. Kudos to the people of Scottsdale and who all showed up, and kudos to Larry Fitzgerald. And with that, on the high note, I'm going to we're going to end this podcast for this evening. We've got to get some rests because we are waking up dark early in the morning. We're tailgating. We might do some audio. Definitely going to do some video. Definitely going to be doing some grilling. And so we've got a lot in store for tomorrow. So, man, what a great show. What a great day. What a great night. Great time here in Kansas City. This has been Chance Del Fuego and Blair Smith.
Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs. Two Idiots Talk Sports. You all have a great night. Thank you so much for listening.
Oh, Kansas City, do not ruin my weekend.
Have you ever felt like shutting the fuck up?
Well, I'm out, man.
now.